Okay, we have the super simple budget format here for you guys. Let's go ahead and do a quick orientation on what we're looking at. First of all, everything that's in these lavender blue boxes are where you put your figures into. Everything else down here is where it's going to self-calculate. Now, if you see the different category names, you can change things. So for example, if you want to instead say, I'm not going to call this mortgage, I'm going to call this, say, I'm just going to call this, say, insurance. You can go ahead, change those. You can add different categories if you want to add, for example, maintenance. You can do that. So there's a lot of flexibility here. So what we want to start off with then, as we talked about in the modules, you want to determine what net profit you want to end up at the end of the year. So let's say it's 10%, okay? So now we need to go ahead and start calculating how much sales that we believe we're going to achieve each month. And then what are the cost of sales? And if you remember the definition of cost of sales, it's any sort of stuff that you have to make in order to fulfill the sales. So for example, if you own a restaurant, it's going to be your food costs and your labor cost. If you own a manufacturing plant, it's going to be your direct labor to manufacture it and any cost of materials that you're using to make it, okay? That's then going to determine your gross profit. And then from your gross profit, then we got to figure out what our overheads are. And then from there, that's where it's going to give us the total of the overheads, and then it's going to start self-calculating what our net profit is. And the nice thing about this tool is also going to track cumulative profits all the way along. So just for funsies, let's just say that I'm going to say 60,000 in sales. And I'm just going to go ahead and say every single month I am going to do 60,000 in sales, okay? And, it's going to give you 720,000. So now let's say cost of sales, it's going to be 40,000 that I'm going to budget for. So in this case, I'm just going to copy and paste it all the way over here. So now I know that I'm going to have a gross profit, in this case, of $20,000 each month budgeted at 33.33% gross profit. Now, one of the things is then we start figuring out our overheads, and you can use whatever you believe it's going to take, rent, insurance, whatever your categories are. So now what you're going to do is you're going to have a break even after how many months in business. And obviously you've got some instructions of how to fill this out. Now the one thing I love about this tool is the next tab you have what we call the profit tracker. The profit tracker now is something we use to track how are we doing. So let's say in this case, in January we're supposed to do 60,000 in sales, and let's say instead we did 62,000. We beat our budget. Woohoo! Now it's going to measure the variance and the cumulative variance. But let's say on the budget on cost of sales, boy, we went over a bit. So we did 46,000 instead. Now that's going to tell us that our gross profit, our budget was for 20,000, our actual was only 16,000, so our variance was 4,000, and then the cumulative variance is negative 4,000. So as we keep going along here, this variance is going to keep and cumulative variance is going to keep measuring itself. The overheads. Now the overheads we treat as fixed. Now I know there's no true fixed overheads, but for budgeting purposes we're going to continue calling this overhead. It's going to measure, it's going to keep us and report what our budget is for overheads. And then it's going to start measuring net profit over time. Now I love what this has. This has graphs. So for example, in this case it's going to start measuring graphically what our real results are in both sales, gross profit, and net profit. So now this is an absolutely fantastic tool, and it's very simple to use as long as you're initially got a good budget, and every single month you're plugging in those key numbers of both your sales and cost of sales. So hopefully this is a good starting tool. And again, you may want to upgrade to a more sophisticated version, but as I like to say, simple is sophisticated. So hopefully this is a great idea for you and a great tool that you can use to start developing a very basic budget in your business. Look forward to hearing some good success with this tool. Thank you very much.